What this diagram is, the mission-ready learning system is a performance operating model for modern work. It explains why capable employees often stall, drift, burn out, or lose direction after onboarding, even when they are intelligent, motivated, and still producing output. And it shows how organizations and individuals can prevent that breakdown by building a shared system instead of relying on personality, motivation, or constant managerial oversight. Most organizations assume performance is primarily an individual trait. If someone is capable and works hard, results should follow. This model argues something different. Modern performance is a system outcome. People don't fail because they stop caring. They fail because the system stops providing clear signal, correction, and safe feedback pathways, and individuals are forced to compensate silently until energy drains. So this diagram is not training content. It is a map of how performance actually holds over time in hybrid, monitored, AI-influenced environments. How to read it, the meaning of the three layers. 1. Organizational design, top layer. This is the layer leaders and HR control. It represents the conditions the organization creates: intent, constraints, boundaries, and standards. The bullets here matter because they define whether employees have stable orientation or must guess. Strategic intent and priorities. What leadership says matters now. Role and decision boundaries. What someone owns versus what they should escalate. Feedback and evaluation systems. How good is actually measured and corrected. AI guardrails and quality standards. What's allowed, what's expected, what review means. This layer does not produce performance by itself. It produces intent. That's why the diagram includes the line, intent flows downward, but degrades without signal. Meaning, even good strategy weakens as it travels downward unless the organization provides continuous signal and correction. 2. Shared language and operating framework, middle layer. This is the most important layer in the entire model. It is the translation layer between leadership intent and employee execution. Without this shared framework, every employee is forced to interpret the system alone. What silence means, what good looks like, what counts as progress, what matters most, when to speak, how to use AI without harming credibility. That's why this layer is labeled prevents drift, enables alignment. This layer contains your Season 3 core truths like structure fades after onboarding, silence does not equal trust, clarity must be constructed, activity does not equal progress, signal greater than noise, safety enables early correction, burnout is a system signal, AI multiplies judgment or chaos. These aren't slogans, they are diagnostic lenses. They give the organization a common language to identify the moment things start breaking, early, before results collapse. 3. Individual execution and agency, bottom layer. This is where performance actually lives. This layer represents what employees do inside real constraints once the onboarding scaffolding is gone. Daily decision-making under ambiguity, capability building, skill cycles, not random learning. Effort allocation and focus, energy management as a strategic act, voice and calibrated escalation, speaking up without overexposure, AI-assisted work with review, AI embedded as leverage, not substitution. The key idea, employees are not being asked to try harder. They're being asked to operate deliberately, using the shared framework to stay oriented, build capability, and keep their work aligned without burning out. The drift zone, why it exists and why it's the truth in this model. The drift zone is the most psychologically accurate element in your diagram. It represents the real place most modern performance breakdowns occur, the space between what leadership assumes people understand and what employees can actually see, confirm, and act on. The diagram labels the drift zone as the place where silence, assumption, and ambiguity accumulate. That phrase matters because it explains why plateau and burnout rarely look dramatic. Output continues, meetings continue, work appears fine, but internally, direction becomes inferred, feedback becomes irregular, people conserve risk, rework accumulates, energy drains. The drift zone is where busy competence forms, quiet disengagement begins, burnout emerges without warning. So this model makes the invisible visible, the early feedback and correction loop, why it's on the side. The right side loop is the stabilizer. It exists because modern organizations don't fail from lack of talent, they fail from late correction. This loop shows the system's ability to self-correct early through signal, misalignment, friction, learning, correction. The point is, correction must happen while outcomes are still flexible. If feedback is delayed, the cost rises. Misalignment becomes rework, rework becomes fatigue, fatigue becomes burnout or attrition. So the loop is what prevents the drift zone from turning into organizational decay. It is the difference between a system that adapts and a system that burns people out silently. What this diagram communicates in one sentence: Mission Ready is a shared operating model that keeps performance sustainable after onboarding by preventing drift through shared language and early correction loops, so capability compounds instead of draining into burnout.